I was looking to see if you're watching a girls' basketball game.
I want to be.
I
I think it's 6.
That's what I was looking at, to see what's on the game. All
All right, so we have the approval of the January 9th minutes.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, thank you. Approval of
All in
the.
favor?
All in favor? Thanks, man. Keep me straight, because, you know, aye. Aye. All right, approval of February 13th. minutes.
So move.
Dan, second, Bill,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, approval of February 27th meeting minutes.
Move.
All right,
Good,
Dan
no,
and Bill,
please.
again, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll jump into the special report. I am gonna move the village activities up after our 2024 year-end audit, because Christine is on for us, and so she doesn't have to stay on because Pam is out of town. So we'll go ahead with the audit.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. If you guys can just verify that you can see a copy of the cover page for the Cape Vincent 2024 audit.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'll keep it brief. So obviously, my name is Janelle Tupper. I was the audit manager for the Cape Vincent Local Development Corporation audit for 2024. We also audited you guys for last year as well. I'm here today with Liz Bush. She's the audit partner on the engagement. So right into the report. Basically, we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the Cape Vincent Local Development Corporation for 2024. In our opinion, the financial statements fairly present in all material respects the financial position of the organization as of year end. What does this mean? You guys received an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. So the basis for our opinion, we conducted our audit in accordance with the accounting standards generally accepted in the US, as well as financial audits standards contained in government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the US. Why do we have this additional step? Simply because you guys deal with so much governmental money. This is an additional criteria we have to perform on this audit. Okay. Responsibilities of management. Basically, management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP. The auditor's responsibility is basically our objective is to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement and to issue our report therein. There's additional items both in management and for the auditor's portion of this, which you can read through, but it's pretty standard, same as the prior year. In the current year, we did include summarized information related to prior year results simply because obviously it was audited in the prior year. Now it's audited in the current year, so we can show you the results. And it does tend to lead to a little bit better comprehension just because you can compare the balances reported for the current year versus the prior year and really see where significant changes have occurred, if any. At the last paragraph here, basically in accordance with government auditing standards, we have also issued our report on the consideration of the organization's internal control environment. We'll delve into that as soon as we hit the report at the back of the financial statements. Okay. In the current year, your assets increased by 52.9 thousand. Obviously, you guys received a substantial amount from the village and town contracts, and you had a lot of pending activity related to grant applications and grant activity for the current year. So overall, obviously, you had an increase in cash related to your operational results. Overall, as far as net assets with donor restriction, this is the equity of the organization. It's pretty in line with that same exact thing. Basically, you had a little over around $50,000 that changed from the prior year. Okay. This is the statement of activities. Basically, if you think about it as your P&L, the organization did receive $100,000 out of contracts with the village and the town in the current year. This is a little bit downwards from the prior year operations, and I believe part of this is due to the fact that they remitted additional balances related to the economic development joint project held between the village and the town in the prior year. This year, basically, it was for a one-year occurrence. You did have quite a bit of interest income. Obviously, the bank rates are higher as far as interest. You guys had a substantial amount of cash invested throughout the year, so this was $3,000. You also picked up a donation in the current year, which was in turn remitted within the same period. Comparatively, total expenses were in line with the prior year, and change in net assets, basically your operating income for the year, was 48.7 thousand. This just delves a little bit deeper. This is the statement of functional expenses. So obviously in the current year, you collected a $1,400 donation and you remitted it as required by the donor for the purposes to be conducted. Education and training, obviously this did occur in the current year. The largest change that occurred in the current year was related to professional expenses. It decreased by 7,500. Obviously, you have some grant writing, our audit fees. Prior year, you had much more just due to the newness of the organization, consulting, legal, accounting, etc. That was conducted in the prior year. And again, as far as the actual activity related to the new grant implementation, it seemed like a lot of the activity is still pending grant phases, so it wasn't really conducted in the current year. Okay. There's not really any changes related to cash flow. This is just the conversion between your operating statements and the total cash that was incurred in the current year. Most of the language within the notes is standard year to year. Basically, I'm going to forward through and select some of the biggest notes in here. If anyone does have any question on any of the notes or other information, just let me know. In the current year, the organization did adopt a capitalization policy. Basically, we updated the statement to reflect a summary of the policy that's implemented for year end 2024. You did not have any capitalization of purchases. Basically, there was nothing which met this capitalization threshold that had to be reported as an asset, property, plant, and equipment in the current fiscal year. So we just put in the little note item that there were no balances maintained. Concentration of revenue. Obviously, in the prior year, 99% of your report or of your income was related to the village and the town contracts. And the current year, that's down slightly simply because, again, you did receive a little bit of donation income and some interest income related to account balances as well. But again, it's still by far your largest source of income. Liquidity note. Basically, this is just a summary of balances that are available for future use. So if you had prepaid expenses, those are not included because the cost has already been incurred. If there were long-term items, those would be excluded as well. But currently, basically, your entire cash balances are available for future operations of the organization within the next fiscal year. Last year was 123, which was the cash balance, and this year is 176, which is also the cash balance. And there were no non-cash financing or investing activities conducted in the current year. Under the initial report, I had basically indicated that we were going to go over this report related to internal controls. This is required underneath government auditing standards. Basically, in planning and performing our procedures, we had to consider the internal control environment over financial reporting, basically to design and conduct our audit procedures. This is not for the purpose of expressing an opinion, therefore no opinions are made. That being said, if we did identify any deficiencies in internal control, which would be a significant deficiency or a material weakness, we would have to identify them in this report. In the current year, we did not identify any of those items. Also, one of the other factors that we had to consider was the compliance environment. And again, we did not identify anything material to the financial statements that had to be reported in the current fiscal year. So this is a fairly new requirement. Public authority is now requiring basically that we include this, even if you guys don't have any investments held, we have to include the investment reports. So basically there's nothing within the organization's activity which indicated a failure to comply with the investment policy. This includes guidelines with New York State Comptroller's Investment Guidelines, Section 2925, as well as the New York State Public Authorities Law for year ended 2024. This is our board communication letter. Basically, it's just to highlight a few factors that were conducted for the audit and different items that could occur during the audit, which we obviously would need to communicate to the board. Again, just to highlight it, management is responsible for selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. Basically, you do have to report underneath GAAP requirements, but you do have a few selections there outstanding regarding various issues. It's up to management to select which ones they want to basically present. In the current fiscal year, there was no significant changes in accounting policies adopted that would have affected the financial statements. Accounting estimates are obviously an item that is also highly sensitive to the financial statements. This generally includes loss allowance for accounts receivable, depreciation, etc. As far as this organization, the only item that meets this criteria is basically the estimate related to the functional expense allocation, which is conducted directly. Difficulties in performing the audit. We didn't encounter any. Appreciate very much the help, Mary and Carol. Every year, last year, this year, I ask a question, it's back almost instantly. Any information I request is uploaded or the share link is provided. We greatly appreciate your cooperation and help for this process. We try to make it painless. We know it's not. So again, we do appreciate it. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements. We didn't have any proposed adjusting journal entries. Basically, the information as presented was accurately stated. We did not encounter any disagreements with management during the year. And management does have the ability to consult with another accountant if they disagree with any of our suggestions or findings. In the current year, that, to our knowledge, no such consultation occurred. And that's pretty much it. Last item. So during our audit, we have to identify any findings related as significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, or non-compliances within the audit report. Other items that we basically locate are more of a suggestion for future improvements. And this is put together within a management letter. In the current year, we basically recommended that the organization adopt or implement policies and procedures in which adjusting journal entries made into the QuickBooks file can be reviewed by a person other than the individual conducting them. This is not any criticism. A lot of small organizations have the same exact issue. It's just made as an assurance item, not only so that the board can verify, obviously, this information is correct as entered, but also Carol has someone who's looking at the information so that there's less focus on, any errors that can occur. They can be identified, less scrutiny over any adjusting journal entry if they're presented up front. IT security policy in the prior year wasn't wholly necessary to have a lot of these policies in place. You guys were just starting up. You didn't even own a computer at that point. Now that you are beginning to get assets, you have obviously a computer, there's files stored on there. We just recommend having some standard language that, restricts passwords, who has accessibility to the files, the hardware, etc., backup criteria. And this is just a overall recommendation, just so that you don't have the risk, you don't have as high of a risk of data loss or compromised data occurring during the year. And that was it. Does anyone have any questions?
These are posted in our folders as well.
Thank you. I don't, anybody on the computer have questions? All right, thank you. We appreciate your time. I don't think there's any questions, so appreciate Mary and Carol's work on this too.
I appreciate working with these guys. They'll make it easy, and does things very quickly and helps me where needed.
Thank you again very much for all of your help. If anyone does have any questions later in the year, you can reach out to us at any time. I'm reachable by phone, email, as is Liz. So just throwing that out there. If you guys need anything, just let us know.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, we'll move on and let Christine do her village activity report.
Hi, sorry, I don't have a big activity report. Pam contacted me earlier today and just said she was going to be tied up and would I please sit in for her. The only thing that came up at the village board meeting was everyone was deeply appreciative for the work that your team did, Mary, to get the tourism position completed, the RFP done, and advertised in such a quick turnaround. So everyone was very appreciative of that. And they just wanted to ensure that when you guys talk about the selection committee, the village feels strongly that there should be representation from both municipalities and the chamber when you start getting applications in and you seat your selection committee. So other than that, I don't really have any updates, although I'm prepared to answer any questions if anyone has questions for the village.
Thanks, Christine. Anybody have any questions?
Christine, Mary, we should probably, and I was going to bring it up on the additional projects, but since you're here for this part, so I published the additional projects report about a week or so ago. In the interim, National Grid did approve our grant for the infrastructure on the EV charging stations. We did request, after talking with the village, to postpone our signing of that. So the project is on hold because we are waiting to hear on the other grant, which is in Scott's report, which is the chargers themselves. That's not going to be announced until the third quarter. So what we asked National Grid is to postpone our project, because obviously it's going to be a problem for the village if you don't have the money for the chargers to do the infrastructure, because both have to be in place in order to get reimbursed. So I just bring that up. Christine, anything you'd like to add to that?
I know, and once again, Mary, we appreciate your work getting the electrical contractor to kind of agree to hold off, because the village cannot commit to any work until we know that it can all be completed. Otherwise, we're going to have all the electrical infrastructure and no chargers, which will be tremendously expensive. And both parts of this project are contingent upon the other one coming through. So appreciate you helping us, kind of push that out towards the third quarter until we can get word back from the state. So yes, thanks for that. Thanks for bringing that up.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Christine. Anybody have anything else for the village? Christine, you're welcome to stay, but you can also go enjoy the warm weather. Your call.
Okay, I'll probably stay on for a little while and hear how things are going, if you don't mind, and then I'll.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, thanks, Mandy.
All right, Scott, what do you have for us?
Sent out the report, last month. It's time for the EV grant. It was due the 28th. We got that submitted with the help of Mary and the village, some back and forth and changes to it. That was submitted on time. Shoreline project, they requested to close out, moving forward to close out the grant so they can start the property transfer to the state. That'll take up some time this month, getting the package together that the town needs to close out that project and move that forward. I think we're doing it without the fence, right, Dan? Did that get approved or not approved, or?
We're still going back and forth with them.
So, we're gonna move forward and close out the grant anyway, and so they can start the property transfer.
The state's approved, the parks have approved the temporary fence.
The state part, but not the federal.
Yes.
So. Club Street, you can see everything was tore down. It looks great, wide open, I think. There was some administration on my timesheet for this month because there were some questions about the match and what was approved and what wasn't approved. So we had to do some research back to emails from a year and a half ago to document it, but that all got approved. As we had thought.
Hey, Scott, question. I did not get a chance to look at your report because I'm traveling. Do you know, so the Ag and Markets grant for Frenchtown Market, that's supposed to be announced this month, correct?
At end of March, beginning of April, yes.
Okay, I was just, it's March and I was hoping. Okay, thank you. That was my question.
I would think if it don't get announced in like the next week, it probably won't be to the mid or end of April because they're gonna start just concentrating on the budget and then nothing else. She's been dropping a bunch of grants this week, a lot, like 5 or 6 different ones a day. So I'm thinking if you don't see it in the next week or so, it'll probably be the end of April.
That's unfortunate. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Scott? Mary, do you have anything else for the additional projects?
No, everything else was up to date. That was just, once I sent it out, I figured people might have looked at it and that would have been the only update that I made, but it is updated in the Google Drive.
I would add too, I know we got a beautiful new playground here. If there's any other areas that would like a playground, there's a new grant that was just announced today. It's the first year of it. She announced $10 million for unplug and play grant. So there's the opportunity to do playground equipment somewhere.
What's the match on that?
10% match, 90% grant.
And what kind of entities can apply for that?
I'll have to look for it. It's not open till the 19th, so she just put out the announcement that's coming. I'll have to look. I think nonprofits can apply for it.
Can that be applied to existing projects like Club Street or?
I was thinking that too. I'll have to wait till the full RFQ comes out. I was thinking the playground equipment on Club Street, we could ask for the money to pay for that a different way and use.
How about the daycare? Is that already enveloped?
I don't know what she is, if she's a 501c3 or
No,
not.
she's
probably
No, she's not.
So she's probably for profit, so she probably won't be eligible. But there's gonna be 2 rounds of it. She's got $20 million. She's releasing, the original announcement said 10 million for this round, so I'm assuming another $20 million would be out there. So, but the full RFQ, request for proposals fee, won't be out until the 19th.
Any idea on what the size of the grant would be? I mean,
Up to $1 million, it says. Can include like the engineering and pre-design and the budget dollar amount, but that they won't pay for that. So you'll have to pay for that up front.
Can that be your 10% match or no?
Don't know yet. I haven't
Okay.
seen it. It just says that it won't pay for
When
it.
that comes out, do you think you could forward it?
Yeah, I can share it with everybody on the 19th.
Thank you. All right, officer reports. Carol.
First thing is we did receive the $30,000 from the town, so that revenue is in. The journal entries that Janelle mentioned in the audit, I am posting those. I started in January because she mentioned that would be a good thing. So they're in the financial folder along with the monthly reports, which I don't think there's a need for me to read through because they're there for you to see if you want to. The check request is for WCP Consultants, $1406.25, rent $150, TI printing the monthly meeting notices for the whole year of 2025, $29.48. Bowers and Company, $9,400, and that's our contracted amount, and it's no surprise, it's just a big number for very little activity in our books, you know, someday it'll be worth the pay. I did the Chamber of Commerce membership at my discretion with a debit card, $40, and I paid this report says $700, but it's $75. I don't know who did this. For the filing fee for the CHAR 500, and that one on the debit card too. So that's wrong. So that's the check request.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then the last thing I'd like to bring up is Lenovo is the warranty on Casey's computer system. Well, except for the Casey's, but she uses it. And I sent you guys all a picture of if you want to renew it, or Mary, was this the extended warranty you added at the beginning, or? Was it-
Yeah, so the extended warranty expired, you know, because it's been that long, and so now this would be an extension of it.
I don't really know what it covers. I don't know if we ever use it. I'm not an extended warranty buyer, so I sent it to all you guys, so I'm not gonna have an opinion.
Anybody have thoughts on the extended warranty?
For a computer in the system that's getting older, I think extended warranties are kind of useless.
I agree. But
If it breaks, we need to buy a new one that's more up to date.
Because there's phone support and we ship it to Lenovo to be repaired and all of that, you know, none of that's gonna work.
Okay, so we'll pass on that. Do we need a motion?
We need-
A
I
motion
think
to-
we're not spending money, not spending money.
All right, we're good.
But,
Okay,
but we
not
will need a motion on something else I thought of. So I believe that our lease on the office is gotta be renewed in April. Could be this month, might be April. I thought about this driving down. So I think we need a motion in order to renew the lease. And if we get that motion, then I'll reach out to Mary Ann and get that moving.
I'll make
But
that-
we would need a motion to renew the lease.
Carol makes a motion to renew the lease for a year.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right, Carol, I'll take the lead on that to reach out to Mary Ann and get that moving,
Thank you.
because I think I have to sign it.
You have every other time.
Yep, good. I couldn't remember if I signed it.
All right, thank you. All right, Dave, finance report.
For the finance committee, we held our semi-annual meeting on March 5th at the office. I do owe the meeting minutes. I thought I sent them, but I know now that I did not send them to Casey, so I'll send those. We reviewed the 25 budget.
Wait, you sent them to us.
I did.
I sent them to Casey.
Oh. I'm not getting seen now.
Did I not send them to Casey?
I thought you just sent me the agenda. I'll look in my email
Uh,
because I posted the agenda on the website. I thought it
I'm
was
gonna
the
send it to
agenda.
you
Okay.
either way, and anyways, there are minutes and they need to be put up. We went line by line through the, I'm sorry, we reviewed the 25 budget, then we went line by line through the tourism promotion RFP. Mary made the changes as we went along and then distributed them to the board for overall review. And you all saw what came out of that. Then the other thing we did during the meeting was went through the strategic plan priorities for the year. The 5 that we had, the umbrella website is still there. That'll be part of the operational objective for the tourism promoter. The economic development plan, we voted in here to delay that or postpone that indefinitely, with the funds being spent against the tourism promoter position. Number 3 is the micro grant fund, recommending to postpone that until later because of the money we're spending on the tourism promoter. The number 4 was the Cape Vincent advertising image package, and that we need to continue to go ahead with so that the tourism promoter can use that to promote the village. And then number 5 is the EV charging stations. We discussed the value of the project in Cape and need to check our options if the village is not able to sign for the charger and up to either getting a loan or something to make that project happen. We, at the finance committee, want to recommend that to the bigger board later, that is such an important project. We don't want to lose the infrastructure and to be able to at worst case scenario, work that, a way to do that internally.
And possibly a fundraising effort or something.
Yeah, fundraiser or maybe a donation or something like that. And then that was it. We closed the meeting after an hour and a half.
Was it?
Yeah, it was an hour and a half.
Wow, good
And
job.
I think I would just add that, Carol's going to create the information, which is basically our April joint meeting where we've invited the town and the village to join us, is usually just sort of us reviewing where we are. So a lot of it will be just what Dave said. And it will be Carol talking about sort of where are we in expending the funds. So kind of where are we financially? So that
And
was.
Dave can speak to the priorities part.
Right, Dave will speak to priorities, Carol will speak to the money. And that'll pretty much be the April agenda for the joint part of the meeting. So, but all I would ask, if anybody else from the board thinks there's something else we should cover besides those sort of 2 main topics, please reach out because I'll be working on the slides here over the next couple of weeks.
Anything else from finance? Okay, government.
So the only hanging chat is really the self-evaluation that we're required to do every year. So we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but it was sent out to everybody. I think it's relatively self-explanatory. So I don't see the need to discuss it unless anybody wants to go ahead and mark this for the next meeting. We can go through it. If not, because I missed the fact it was 2024, we did it 2025. So I want to give you a heads up. In about October, November, we will actually do our 2025 self-evaluation. So the one we just did was for 24. So that's all I have.
And that came up also during my working with Tracy over the next few days because she's doing all our ABO postings. That, that's a requirement to self-evaluate. It's not just we're doing it for our health. So everybody needs to do it, please, if you haven't.
Does anybody need it resent?
I also didn't mention that all of our tax returns have been filed. I'm jumping back into my report. Tax returns have been filed, all of them, including state tax 500, which is great. This is, just feels good to be all done where it's supposed to be.
You're fine. That's it.
Thank you.
Carol, do you want to go in or do you want me to go into the SFS and upload the new documents? Because they got to be uploaded every year to keep your vendor responsibility, your approval.
Let me take a look.
Okay.
When's it gotta be done by?
I don't, it just got to be done annually. So
Okay.
like if the other ones have expired or a year later, you can upload it.
I'll take a look and see. I've never wandered around in there, so.
Okay.
And then if I feel uncomfortable, I'll let you know. That's
Okay.
South Street. Yeah, Scott, any updates?
Well, like Scott mentioned, the boathouse is down. I believe all of our permits have been approved. We are pretty close to finally getting out to bid and hopefully we'll see some production down there, not just tear downs. And you can add whatever you want on that. With the town, we're still going back and forth with National Park Service on Tibbetts. He required the resolution, which we sent him. He waited 2 or 2.5 months and said the resolution needed to be signed. It was not a roll call. That wasn't required, but he sent it back and we all had to take the resolution that was submitted and actually sign it. So I don't know if they're just kicking the can or what they're doing, but it's very frustrating. And you can add, I don't know, anything else on Plug Street?
No, just like you said, all the permits from DEC were approved, including like the dredging and removal of the cribbage in the water. I think he's met with New York Forward twice now, Tim has, and I think he's got a contract for New York Forward to finalize.
No. No contract, just preliminary discussions.
Anything else? Anything else from the town?
Nope.
Chamber, Lori, do you have anything to report from Chamber?
Okay, can you hear me first off?
Yep.
All right, so their calendar for events are set. I think we're going to be collaborating to put all the events in one spot. Our visitors guide is going to print on the 23rd, so we should have that back within 6 weeks. And our membership drive is still under the way. The only other thing we have is obviously we're really interested in having a spot at the table for the hiring of the tourism and event promoter. So that's what we got.
I'd also add that they have their member mixer on the 26th at 5 at the brewery, if anybody's interested in attending.
Oh, correct.
Yes, our board's member.
I think I'll probably attend. I gotta double check. I have another meeting, but that one sounds more fun. All right, thanks, Lori.
Okay, thank you.
Update on the trail.
Oh, I've got all kinds of updates. Well, Dan, what do you think? My presentation.
No, I thought it was great.
Oh, well, thanks.
And I don't, I read your kind of report. I don't think the board is passive. I just don't think we know the best direction,
Okay.
the next step. I really don't. I don't think approaching Marty from our perspective is probably a great idea. Al Wood may, Paul may. And I don't think Paul stated that you couldn't use it because of his equipment, but it's definitely a concern.
Okay.
So, other than that, no, I mean,
I felt like it was a little bit difficult in that, I brought up, the trail, and Paul immediately said, well, DAC won't let you do it. And I had to point out to him, if you go on their website, they have a feature where they talk about recreational trails. They're very supportive of trails. So that one I was able to take off the board, I thought.
yeah, he
But I
was
think
stating
the
in past.
difference there is those areas, they have a different agreement. So like, I know because we met with them years ago. For this section of the water line, they only have a right of way for maintenance and repair. They don't have a recreational agreement. I think that's going to be the problem with Dank, is they don't have the right to allow you to have recreational trails. on
Which
that
just
land.
gets back to talking to the landowner.
Right.
But I just want to say that, right off the bat, it was like, okay, we can't do this. Like, well, maybe we can with that. And I think the other objection, which you always hear about, is the hunting. But if you go into the Wildlife Management Association website, the very first thing they say is hiking. The next thing they say is hunting. So I think you can coexist hunting and hiking. But that was the other big objection there.
But that's gonna be the landowners, because most of those landowners are hunters and they're not gonna want you on their land.
Well, it always goes full circle. Right. So that's where we're at. I figured, well, let's just wait and see.
Yeah, and I think.
I
the
mean, all
idea
roads
of
lead to Marty.
Promoting ashland, if we find that that's being promoted and utilized a lot, that's certainly a plus.
And that's where we left it. That's where I left it. So, so that was that.
One question for that, Warren, who is responsible for the insurance? Or somebody breaks their leg or something
That I
on
don't
Marty's
know.
land?
They would have to be added as an additional insured.
To do
The town would be agreeable to that. I mean, that's.
But I guess how I ended it is, because again, I've got a lot of experience with this, and it was like hunters. Hunters are not the issue. Hunters are not the issue. Here was the issue, and I felt like there was no need to bring it up because I was sort of drowning, is young kids on ATVs, drinking, going on the trail at night and ripping it up. That is your number one issue when you put a trail in, not hunters.
But it's the
Coexisting with
landowners
hikers.
that you've got to get approval from.
Right.
It's not the hunters, it's their land that they hunt on.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an issue.
Oh, I know.
Honestly.
Oh, I know, and I walked, as I said, I got permission from Marty, I walked his land. If you go from Burnt Rock to Rock Ford, there are very few gun shells, very few, there's not much hunting going there at all, that 2 mile stretch. Hardly. But then if you go from Rosier to the transfer station, that seems to be where the majority of the hunting is. So I'm just trying to diffuse this whole hunting, hiking, paranoia. Wish me luck.
I
So,
just want to, if I can just jump in, I just want to say the landowner will also have to be liable. They will be sued if something happens. There's no way to avoid that. So that is a big part of that conversation with the landowners.
yes. And as I stated earlier, like in November, I have been working with Tilt, and they certainly agreed to work with me on these kind of issues because, again, they put in a trail 9 miles working with 17 different landowners. And they said that they'd be more than willing to help me with, these kinds of issues if we ever got that far, and we're not that far yet. So that was that. But again, Dan, I appreciate you inviting me. You asked, a very good question about maintenance, when I
Make one
did
before.
at McDonald. And the things that we had was, we had retired steel workers, we had retired coal miners, and they were able to do a lot of the maintenance and repair. And that is something that I don't think we would have here, but I just wanted to put that aside. You asked me a good
Yeah, and
question.
I mean, we're actually mowing it now.
Yeah,
And if you get permission from landowners, I can't speak for the board, but I don't think we'd have an issue in continuing to help them to maintain it.
okay, yeah, okay, I wasn't sure.
I mean,
Okay.
that was our plan with our other proposed hiking trail, but
Okay, as for Ashland Flats, I've just thrown some ideas out to try to promote Ashland Flats. One idea is to have, like, at the very end of the trail, you take a selfie that you've walked the 2.3 mile trail and have like a contest, people could submit their selfies into the, some website, we could draw, names and, prizes, or we could have a t-shirt that said, I survived Ashland Flats, or something fun. We could also have a sign-up sheet right at the entrance of the Burnt Rock Trail, just to people to sign it. What do you think? Any suggestions? That type of thing. So, I mean, these are just some ideas to try to promote the trail. However, I went ahead after the meeting, I went ahead and met with some people in Lime Town Council. And I will be doing a presentation in front of the town council next month about the Ashland Trail. They were very interested in what I talked about. They talked about, well, we know we need to do more with the Ashland Flats Trail. I wanted to find out who maintained it. Right now, they subcontract the mowing. They say they only mow it like 3 or 4 times a year. So that would be an issue. If we really did want to promote the trail, we need to keep it pretty clean. They know we got to do a little bit of landscaping and so forth on the trail. But again, I will be talking about the Ashland Trail with, Lime Town Board. The few people I did talk to, they said they're going to be very supportive of promoting the Ashland Flat Trail. So that is that, and I will keep you posted. Now here comes the exciting news. I think is Jim there? He brought up boats and bikes the last time, we talked. And I've been working with the owner, Aaron Austin, of the bike shop in Watertown, New York. If you go onto their website, they sponsor rides. They do it in Sackett's Harbor, Henderson Harbor, Lewis County, all that type of things. And so we've been having a number of discussions, and I brought up the idea of, could you do something here in Cape Vincent in 2026, a biking event. And he has agreed to do that. I said, there's a lot of people we need to talk to. We talked about, July 4th. 2026 to have a premier biking event, in Cape Vincent. He also agreed to, on his website, to come up with different biking routes in the Cape Vincent area. We had a lot of discussions there, talking about Point Peninsula and some of the other areas that we could come up with bike routes that he would have online, 10-mile rides, 20-mile rides, 30-mile rides, so forth. So he's pretty busy right now, but probably around May or June, he will go ahead and, put up some bike routes and put it on his website, and then promote Cape Vincent as a really great place to do biking. But that is one issue. As we discussed, he evidently went to Clayton and Alexander Bay several years ago with the idea of having a seasonal bike shop. The problems were he couldn't really find the rent that was just right. During that period, again, it would be bike sales, bike rental, bike repair. He went to Clayton and he went to Alexander Bay. I said, why didn't you come to Cape Vincent? He said he looked over the area and felt that there just wasn't enough tourist activity to promote a store. I said, well, we've got a lot of exciting things going on. We've got tourism position, we've got Club Street, we've got an area of Point Peninsula that's just fantastic. Matter of fact, the other day, Dawn and I were out there. We saw two bald eagles, 3 owls, 4 hawks. I mean, oh my gosh, the area up there has so much potential for biking. And also said, you don't have the traffic. So I said, you go Alexander Bay, you go Clayton, that's fine, but there's not good roads to bike on. There's nothing but traffic. Up here, you could have a bike shop in Cape Vincent. You could go right up Route 6 and then head up to Point Peninsula and all that area. It would really be a dynamic area to bike. So I said, okay, what do we do next? He said, yes, he would be willing to put a bike store in Cape Vincent, 2026. But we need to do a few steps.
So this sounds like and correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like an individual project that I don't know that the LDC needs to be this involved.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
He got his bike shop working through the LDC water tower.
Okay.
So that's how he got it started. And so when I talked about the LDC here, I said, we do not have any money right now. We have no money for that. But for 2026, maybe a different story. So go ahead.
Since he's in Watertown, has he talked about how to overcome the continuing Watertown Daily Times story about the dude that got hit out on Point Peninsula on his bike?
Yeah.
Who has front page stories after stories? That's not a very safe place to bike. That's the only problem. I just want to say.
No, we did not.
Yeah.
I actually used that very story when I approached Marty Mason about how, boy, it'd be great to have a bike trail, and that went nowhere. But you're right, the guy writes it over and over and over and over again. When somebody writes an article 17 weeks in a row in the Daily Times, you got to say, wait a minute, there's other issues here. But anyways, yes, he used the LDC of Watertown to get his store started. Yes, he said that he would be willing to put a seasonal bike shop, rental, sales, repair, in Cape Vincent, and would be, that's where we're at, and that's where we left it. He is willing to come, and we talked about like October or something, to do presentations with the LDC, to do presentations with the town and the village, to talk about next steps. But without a doubt, we would be the only area in the Thousand Island section that would have a bike shop, would have bike rental. And that would be a niche that we would have that Clayton doesn't have, Alexander Bay doesn't have, Sackus Harbor doesn't have. That would be a hook that we would have that nobody else would have. That's point number one. Point number two, as we move forward, as he moves forward, he has bought equipment for bike racing, you know, the mats, the timings and everything else. And to use, again, Cape Vincent as a location to promote biking activities up to, like, you know, semi-professional bike races. But that's a 2027, 2028 thing. But where we're at right now, just to recap, and I do have this card here. People want to go on his website. So where we're at right now, here's an example of, if you go on his website, here's what he's doing in Adamstown on August 2nd, 2025. Where we are at, excuse me, where we're at right now is he's going to update his website to come up with routes, you know, in the area. 2026 marked off that time frame for a biking event in Cape Vincent. You know, 4th of July, great time to do it. Great time to do it. But to tie other things, and if you could see on the thing, if you go on the website, Adams ties that in with like a whole community event.
Yeah,
So it's not like you get on the bike and you go home. It's a whole community event. So that we also have nailed down. The best part.
I also think a lot of this is for the promoter that we're gonna talk about next to potentially.
But biking is a thing that
It
would
is.
make it, I think your point is it's a good thing we might want to promote. And I would just want to mention that just because he used the Watertown LDC, he's probably referring to the Jefferson County
Right.
Industrial and or JCIDA and all that. They do have lots of loans. So, I mean, that could be the vehicle for getting some financing to help him get his store running here.
Right. That's
Doesn't
probably
mean
where he
we
got a
have
low
to-
interest loan to
Yeah,
start his
right.
business. So-
Right.
And we can put him in contact. I mean, that's what we did with the daycare. I put him in contact and set up a meeting with the daycare people to get a low interest loan to cover him. I mean, so the Jefferson County IDA would be a good contact for him to do that.
But again, I mean, just to reiterate, you know, I've been having conversations, is that something that nobody else here in the Thousand Islands would have, is a bike center, bike shop, an area that would promote biking. And
Very critical too.
I think it's a worthy idea.
I think it is too.
it gets back to Jim's bikes and boats.
Yeah.
I can bring the bikes, you gotta get the boats.
I got two.
Okay, there we go, we're a start.
Could I ask a question there as a follow-up? When you talked about when you told them that we don't have any money now, that we could have money in 26, just for, what would be a rough number that you would even have in your head that would be the number? Because that might be something that gets toward a donation or something like that size versus having to go to get it either on loans or anything else. I'm just curious as a breadbasket number, nothing
We didn't get
official.
that far. Oh, yeah, I was talking to like square feet and so forth and so on and locations. We did not get that far in our conversations. But again, you know, we're talking 2026.
Yeah.
That's the old-
Right, and I think we would have to, just like, you know, we haven't really said that the walking trail is a LDC project. I mean, we've all been very supportive of it. The same with the biking and, you know, I mean, this guy might rent a space to see how it goes. And, you know, I think it's within our, you know, we know the area. If we could say, hey, I think this might be, you know, you should contact so-and-so, that might be a good place for you to rent, to do it. But I think we have to figure out, is it a project? Because neither of these things are on our strategic plan. And I think we have to determine, I mean, it's please, Lauren, I am thrilled you're doing this and all that, but I think we have to say, does the board think that this is something we should be pursuing on our strategic plan? And then, Jim, to your point, if it was, now we can, you know, we can set up things with the IDA, we can look for donations, right? It becomes something we're going to put resource around. we just haven't done that with either one of these things. And obviously the bike thing is new, and Warren, yay to you and Dawn for all you've done on the hiking trail. You know, personally, I am very for it, but I think we have to see from the board, are one or both of these things strategic initiatives that we want to take on?
Right, and that's why I'm bringing it up now, because we're talking 2026.
Right,
We're
right,
not talking July 4th, 2025.
right.
But you know, what I wanted to do was at least start off by nailing down a date for 2026 would be the best date to have a biking event in Cape Vincent. July.
Yeah, and you can do,
And then
and you
tie
can do
that in with
that.
the whole thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you could do that individually. I mean, Kevin Denecki runs all the time. I don't know what his process is when he does the Tibbetts Point run and some of the other ones, or there's a turkey trot that gets done. But you could probably talk to Kevin Denecki and get the steps that need to happen in order to do something like that and provide it to the guy for, you know, a race or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he has experience. He's doing like, 10 events a year. So this is not something he's doing for the first time.
Right, no, but what do you have to do in Cape Vincent? Do you need a permit? Do you need a, you know, I don't know what our rules are around that, but Kevin could probably tell you.
And again, we're talking 2026, not 2025.
Right.
But that's why we got to start talking about this now, and whether it's a strategic initiative, LDC, so forth, so on. I don't know, but
yeah.
Mary, can I follow up another quick question real quick on this, on bikes and boats for a second? But with the lead time of 14 months or whatever like that, is there any negotiations or any way to find out whether that can be a boat rental operator who might want to do something in one of the sites that we have, or I don't even know what's happening with the marina that's across from the liquor store there, or coal docks, whatever it is. But is there any chance that an operator you could fathom an operator that could have boats and bikes, to use the example on here, in operation in the summer of 26 as a rental situation there for boats? So
the chamber did get some information on a kayak rental company. And the chamber looked at it, they sent it over to me. My understanding was that the chamber ended up thinking it was not a good deal. When I looked at it, I didn't think it was a good deal either, but it was their decision because the stuff went to them. So I never pursued it with this board, only because, you know, they didn't think it was a good financial project. That's the only one I know of. I mean, if the board feels that a strategic project should be, I'm going to make it broad, you know, recreational activities within Cape Vincent, which could be boat rentals and biking rentals and hiking, then we as a board should vote on that and you know, put resource around it. And I guess that's what I'm proposing is, you know, does the board want to do this at the next meeting? Do other people think I'm wrong and we don't need that formality?
No, I think we need the formality. I think, and that's how we did for the daycare. That's what we did for supporting the food pantry. That's what we did for supporting the grant for eggs and market for the grocery store. I think that's what past practice. We voted on all of those, and if we decided it was part of our strategic plan, that's kind of how we move forward with it. So.
All right. So do you guys want to try to do that now, or do you want to wait and do it at the next meeting?
I don't care, but.
Well, and what do others think? So that's Mandy's point. That's my point. What do others think?
I think we should wait.
Yeah, I don't think we're prepared to have a full discussion about the strategic plan right now.
Right.
Well, I know the strategic plan, it's my understanding how I've worked with strategic plans. They do kind of grow, but we also need to be able to focus our energy and make accomplishments this year on our current strategic plan. So I'll just say that. But I think if we want to bring it up at our next meeting, but it might be in May because our next meeting is our joint meeting. So we might not have to discuss it next meeting. So I'm just throwing that out there. It could be a point then.
Well, and if you think about it, if you think about the 5 strategic things, right? The only thing we've replaced, we're doing the tourism promotion thing. The EV charging stations are there, but kind of in a holding pattern, the umbrella website. So we've got 3 things left, right, Dave? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing it off the top of my head.
Three.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're all comfortable with when we go to the town and village boards, we say, hey, we had 5, we're down to 3. I'm good with that. We just need to decide as a board.
One thing I was just going to add is that in the way that the negotiation with the Watertown bike thing is happening, informal status, not with any board approval that I could see here, right? And
Somewhere.
isn't the same thing to be pursuing as an intelligence gathering thing rather than a sanctioned initiative to find out about this boat operation, and that can be done informally. I mean, somebody can volunteer, I'll volunteer, whatever, just to do it on an intelligence gathering thing before you have to have any kind of sanctioning effort, because otherwise the other two things that were mentioned were baked already pretty much, right? Those two other things, the daycare and the supermarket. This is not baked.
Right, they are, and I think that's what Warren's been doing, is doing a research based on it, and it's fine. I think if anybody brings something they want to research and go after, but I think Warren has done a lot for this bike trail, or the trail. And at this point, I think if we're going to keep moving forward with it, we need to decide as a board if Warren's working on it as Warren, a citizen of Cape Vincent, or if Warren's working on it as an LDC member. He can keep doing all his work. Like, we're not going to stop that. It's just if we're going to put funds and potential money to it. I think that's where we need to decide. That's what because I was working childcare prior to it coming to the board, but then once we needed to move it forward more, that's when we got the board approval to move it forward from the LDC perspective. And then we were also able to, like, hey, look what we helped do. I don't know,
Yeah. And again, that's all we're doing here. Call me naive, but to have a bike shop in the heart of Cape Vincent, the only bike shop in the Thousand Island area, is not a bad thing.
So,
and it's a mortar thing.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Warren, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm good.
So what I would like to do, because I think we need to move forward, is I would like to propose that we put an item in our strategic plan to research recreational activities that may be a benefit to Cape Vincent. Research. Boom. That's it. Not implementation at this point. So I would like to put that forward as a motion. Can I have a second?
Well, let me just bring up one thing though. Isn't that the tourism's responsibility?
Well, no, the tourism's responsibility would be to promote things, not necessarily research them. Okay, so Jim's suggestion was that we sort of be in a research mode. You know, and so for example, if this bike guy comes to Cape Vincent and joins the chamber is going to promote it, right? If that person decides to do a race in Cape Vincent, the tourism promotion person is going to promote it because it's an event within Cape Vincent. But this research level that Jim is mentioning and all the work that you've been doing, I would like to say we put that on the strategic plan as just research at this point. So I'm putting that out there. I haven't heard from, let's see, Dan, Carol, Bill. Who else is there?
So I'll go. I don't think we need to do anything to the strategic plan right now. And the reason why is strategic plans are supposed to be iterative living documents. And so we spent a lot of time getting a strategic plan, then we kind of backed away, and then we went for it, and we're kind of moving forward. And so us going back to strategic plan every time we change something, I don't find as useful for our time. I think what it is, the strategic plan is just kind of the framework. We kind of prioritize some things we're getting after. And if this is a new thing that we want to pursue as a board, then we pursue it. It's just research is all it is. So all Warren is doing right now is he's done some research, both for the trail and the bike shop, and then maybe we'll do this boat.
Which is all integrated in the big picture thing here.
So, but right now he's doing it as an individual. No need to change the strategic plan. So let's just say in May or June, we say, yeah, we want to get after this and put the LDC behind it. Okay. But the person who's probably going to be doing the lion's share of the work right now for the trail and the bike thing is probably still worn, okay? Let's just be honest. And so, but that doesn't really necessitate any change in strategic plan. When we go ahead and review, oh, I don't know, annually, let's just say that, things that we've done, we want to update the strategic plan. These are done, these are kind of in, monitor mode, and here's some new things we want to get after. Great. This is just one of those opportunity things we talked about, I don't know, 6-8 months ago that will always pop up that we never anticipated. Okay, we weren't talking bikes 6-8 months ago. But it's probably a good idea. I don't disagree as a board that if we want to get after it and get behind it, we just vote on it and we just get after it. And that way we don't have to expend any effort on wickering the plan. We focus limited energy and capacity on the effort. That's my thought.
Can I just say on the bike part of it, not the trail part of it, because that's a different subject. I mean, there are parts of your strategic plan that it's already identified. So like the low priority, attract investment, promotion of small local businesses. One of them is support and promote new opportunities of business in Cape. Under the high priority, it's not specific to that, but one of the goals is to support initiatives to establish and expand the bike routes on a regional level. So I mean, the bike part of it and the new business part of it do fall under your strategic plan already. It's just a matter of you want to put resources to it. I mean, it's already in there. The walking trail is a whole different subject, but as far as the bike, it's already in 2 sections there that you could utilize your plan and say, hey, that we're working on this.
Right.
Let me just step back for a minute. With the Ashland Flats, promote Ashland Flats, and I said this at the town meeting.
Ashland is in Shimo.
It's not even in
It's
the
not
town
in
of
Cape
Cape.
Vincent.
I know, no, the beginning of the Ashland Flats Trail is on Burton Rock Road, which is Cape Vincent.
Ashland Flats itself is in Shimo.
Again, let me reiterate
No, okay,
that.
I
The
get it, I
beginning of the
understand.
trail
Okay.
is in Cape Vincent.
Okay.
That's understood. And they've been mowing it. Even the Cape Vincent
Okay.
part of it, they've been mowing. But all I'm trying to do is 2 things here. One, let's see how many people use the walking trail. Nobody uses it. Okay, it's done. It's done. But what did it cost us? 0. He is willing to, the gentleman at the bike shop is willing to put on his website, which he has other places too, in Jefferson County. Like Cape Vincent's a great place, area to bike. Here are some bike recommendations, trails and all that. And to promote, anybody can bike anywhere. So we go ahead and we put that out there. And if we don't get any activity, what did that cost us?
What's stopping any
That
of
is-
these from happening right now?
Nothing.
Then why, then go, then.
Fine, I'll just go and do it
No, no,
myself.
no, no,
If that's the solution, I have
No,
no
no,
problem.
no.
I have no problem going on my own, but I do not want to, because I think that there are some advantages of working with the LDC,
But-
without a doubt.
But we've already discussed in here, we're not willing to go ahead and discuss it tonight, make a decision on LDC, we're gonna go to a future meeting. So we understand the importance of it. Let's digest it and come
Correct.
back at a later meeting, and then we can go ahead and move on to the next topic on the agenda. So.
Everybody good with that? All right,
Well, we
Mary,
have a motion and a second sitting here, I'll open on the floor that we're discussing, so don't we have to close that?
I'll withdraw the motion. Everybody wants to wait, we'll wait. I just was trying to get us done. I withdraw the motion.
I second the withdrawal.
all right, Mary.
Okay, let me just say one thing. I'm gonna close it with this. Okay, and I said to Dawn, what does the country Netherlands and Cape Vincent have in common? Okay, we got windmills. Well, okay, Wolf has windmills. It's flat. It's cold. Okay, and we got a lot of water. Okay, that's what Cape Vincent has in common with the Netherlands. The #1 recreational activity in the Netherlands is biking. And we got an area out here that would just be easy to promote as a biking destination. I don't see there's anything wrong with having a brick and mortar biking, center in the heart of Cape Vincent. I can't see how that's a bad idea.
I doubt there's anyone here who disagrees with you.
Right. Now, how we finance that That's the issue.
We had trouble financing food. We had trouble in this board deciding to finance a bus taking people, citizens that could not go to the grocery store.
Oh, I know.
So me personally, I will not vote. I probably shouldn't say this, but it's my little pet project. I will not vote to give money to a bike place when we have people
I'm
who
not
need
even-
food.
I'm not even saying that we need to give money.
Okay.
I'm not even saying that.
All right,
I'm
can we
not
move,
even
can we
saying
move
that.
on to the next topic? Because I think we've all asked that already. All right, Mary, can you go over your promotional position or?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So, did anybody see the TI Sun? Did our ad go in? Because I had to leave before ours arrived. Anybody notice?
I haven't seen the paper yet.
Can you get one around here?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I did according to the milestone project plan, I did submit the ad, which Casey put together for us. Thank you, Casey, that you've probably seen on Facebook. At this point, no one has submitted a proposal. That doesn't surprise me, since it just went out. But hopefully we will have that. Prior to our project plan, looks like we're going to try to make this decision beginning of April because all of the proposals need to be in by March 28th. Prior to that, I have talked to the chamber about partnering on trying to create a meeting of all of the groups within Cape Vincent that hold events so that we could pull together, one is a jumpstart for the person in this position, but two, to be able to publish, this is everything that everybody is doing. It would be a benefit because sometimes people, you don't want to schedule the chicken barbecue when somebody else is doing a craft fair, right? So it would help that the people I've spoken to seem excited about it. I'm going to try to do that as long as nobody's got a problem with that. Anybody have a problem with that?
No, I think it's a good idea. Mary, one thing, I know you had mentioned, you'd sent a list of agencies, I'm gonna say. I don't know if churches were on there. And when you said chicken bar.
I added them after, so I keep getting, the library wasn't on there either. So,
Right.
Once I think I've got all of it, I'm gonna send it out to the whole board. Again, you were sort of because of your representation of us to the chamber. I'm gonna send it out to this board just to say, who might I be missing on the invite list? So that leads us to, hopefully we will get proposals by March 28th. And that leads us to having an interview committee that would, and I am happy to make a first draft of an interview guide so that we have some plan. Jeannie was lovely when we did the Casey level of interview and we had a nice interview guide. I've done interview guides before, so I'll make an attempt at that. And certainly those people that are on the committee will have a chance to edit it. In the original document that Christine Stark put together, there was one face-to-face meeting and a lot of email, which we used as the basis of the RFP. There was something on the bottom of one version that said that we should have a hiring committee having all the stakeholders. In that original one, it had local businesses, which is what the chamber sent back to me, a local business. That did get removed at a later date. So just to bring you guys up with the engineering changes that occurred on that, there was never any discussion, but it was sort of the proposal that was out on the table. So this would be my suggestion that with the local business out of the list, it's village, town, LDC, and chamber. So 4 representatives. My recommendation to this board as sort of the funding organization at this point, and certainly the management group of this position, would be that we actually seat that from our board. So we have Pam from the village, we have Dan from the town, we have Lori Moss from the chamber. As I'm going to be the supervisory person on this role, I would like to be part of that committee. And then the question is, do we want a second LDC person as part of that, which would give us 5 people? That's just a suggestion out. I'd like to open it for discussion.
I think that's good, but I think there should be a 5th just as a tiebreaker potentially. So I think another LDC member is
Okay, good. Yeah,
Would be my
I think two would be good. Yep, I do. What do others
Since
think?
Pam's not here, we can just nominate her, right?
Well, Pam's already on for the
Warren.
town.
Oh, no, that's
The
right.
village, sorry.
She
Warren's
was-
not here.
No,
Quick.
no, I mean, we can nominate Pam because she doesn't get a vote. She has to be on it for the village. And Dan has to be on it for the town, right?
Right, so they're being voluntold.
I'm just thinking it's easy for us to seat these stakeholders because the stakeholders are all in our LDC. So we could just, you know, we don't have to go out to every single group and say, who do you want, right? It's just, we're just
And
gonna.
I don't mind doing it because I've been involved in it unless somebody else wants to do
Oh,
it.
that's wonderful.
Okay, so it'd be Mandy and me. How do you guys feel about this as an approach? I'll go back to the stakeholder groups. You know, I know Christine mentioned at the beginning, the village feels strongly everybody's gonna be represented. They would be with that proposal. So.
Yeah, I think, Mary, I think that's a great proposal, and Mandy's absolutely right. There ought to be 5 people, so there's no tiebreakers. And I think it makes sense that the LDC would seat 2, and then with the other, you know, with the other representatives. So, and Pam is going to be
Is Lori
happy
willing?
representative.
Lori's
Okay.
on the phone, is she willing?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay,
I think
great.
it's a great idea.
And then Dan, I guess, Dan, my question would be to you, because you're the only other person that we can't voluntold.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right, so good. So that I will send a note out. Well, actually, Dan, please let the town know. Christine, let the village know. Lori, let the chamber know. It's one less note I have to send in my life. Thank you very much. Mandy, I'm not sending you a note about it. What I will do is I will work on the interview guide and then I'll send it out to the committee so that they can have at it. And obviously the committee would be in a position to ask follow-up questions, but we'll try to, you know, get the core set of questions that would be part of the interview. And that's all I got in that position.
Thanks,
Any
Mary.
questions?
That's great, Mary.
Thanks for moving that forward fast too, for everybody that worked on that. That was good.
Yes.
Finance committee was very good at improving the draft, that's for sure. Okay, so the next thing is this umbrella website. So I asked for this to be put on. So this is on our strategic plan. I would like to recommend that we seek from our board a subcommittee to start to work on, so what's this thing look like? You know, what's on it? I would like to possibly reach out to Joe DeJoya and see if he would still be willing. Now, technically, we should do an RFP. But I will tell you, we did an RFP for the lighthouse. Joe was the low bidder on that. So Joe did do the lighthouse site. He did ours for free. The other advantage is Casey knows how to maintain the technology that Joe uses. So using that would be good because she could train the tourism person who would be maintaining that particular site. So I just think we need to get started on it, because if you think about this, you know, you've got this tourism promotion thing going on, you get that umbrella website, you know, it all sort of ties together. What do others think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we do need to get moving on that.
Yep.
All right, who wants to chair that committee? Because I'm over my ski tips, guys.
I can do it.
Thank you, Bill. And who else might want to work on that with Bill?
I can. I'm not gonna be in charge.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who talked.
Yeah,
You want to be in
I said
charge.
I'll help.
All right, so we got Bill and I think Warren, probably should have a third.
Dave, who's
Dave.
the-
It was Dave.
Oh, it was Dave. I'm sorry, Dave, quit pretending you're Warren. I can't tell on the phone.
It's the owl's fault.
Yeah, it's the owl. All right. That was all I had, just to get us a committee to get started, and then, you know, Casey on the agenda in May, because obviously we're gonna have 30 minutes just to pay our bills and pass the minutes from this particular meeting before the other two boards will join us in April.
So the April
So
agenda, May.
Yeah, it'll be on the May agenda for this
okay.
committee to talk about it.
Okay.
And then the April one will just be a really short for us, and then we'll have the other
Okay.
boards join us, because I set them up at 6.
Okay.
Can I suggest possibly bringing in a chamber member to be part of that umbrella website committee?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Lori, do you want to take that back and see who that might be?
Sure.
That's a
That'd be
good idea.
great. Good suggestion.
I know they were talking about that at their last board meeting as well, so that would be really beneficial, I think.
Or two?
Oh, yeah, just
Okay.
one other thing, and I don't know that this is gonna happen, but just, it happened like today while my husband was driving and I was doing email. Wolf Island reached out to us again, that they wanted to see about combining tourism things. Obviously, if we had our tourist person, they would be attending this, but Mandy, you, Ariel, Lori, and I have a meeting on the 21st at noon to 1, which was our next monthly meeting. I found out that Liz Brennan and Jerry Golden, who also wanted to be on this meeting, can join us at 12:30. So I've got it over to Wolf Island to see if they'll join us at 12:30 as well. So I didn't have to try to find another time. But that would be, that would be chamber representation as well as LDC. And, see, they reached out. It's been a year since we've really done anything with them. So we'll see what suggestions they might have.
But without the ferry, how would that work?
Well, we don't know there isn't a ferry. And, believe me, you can go over the bridge. We don't know it for sure. So, fingers crossed and, make burnt offerings or whatever. So that's just an update that's going to happen, and I'll do minutes so people know what happens.
Okay.
Thanks, Mary. All right. Sarah, do you have anything you'd like to?
Representing the public? No,
Yeah.
just listening.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
We always poke in some good input. So we
Yeah,
appreciate you. We appreciate your attendance.
All right, before we close, does anybody else have any last minutes? Our next meeting will be
April 10th.
April 10th, thank you.
And that's already set as a joint meeting, that's
Yes.
decided?
It is, yes.
Okay.
So we'll have a quick meeting before the boards join us. And if there's anything that you want to add to that meeting for Mary, get it to her. So she can put it. Anything else, Mary?
No, thank you very much for covering for me, Mandy. Appreciate it.
You need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Adjourn.
And everybody in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
Bye.
Drive safe there, Mary. Ride safe.